In addition to all the other inspections and tests that you do when you record, you're also required to perform a weekly microbiological test. That test goes by a lot of names. Sometimes it's called HPC, that stands for heterotrophic plate count. Sometimes it's called total aerobic bacteria. That's, I think, a better name for it. And sometimes you might just call it the dip slide because it's kind of like that. So that's a good description for it. So we want to record the results of that and how and where we took that sample. So first of all, we're going to want to record the date that we actually took that sample. Okay, so let's say that we took it on 6/11. Let's imagine that that was a Monday. And we took that sample at, say, 8 a.m. Kind of early, right? Well, it's early because if you look down here, there's certain conditions that we need to meet. The system has to be circulating for an hour prior to you doing your sampling. Okay, inoculation should occur on a non-biocide day or prior to biocide feed for that day. Well, since you're feeding biocide every day, it really means that you have to do it before the biocide feeds. So if your biocide feeds at 9 a.m., you got to make sure you take that sample before that pump starts operating. So I just wrote in 8 a.m. It could literally be 9:50 or 9:55, 8:50 or 8:55, as long as it's before that pump starts operating for that day. Okay. Now, you also want to put down when you read it. And that's typically 24 to 48 hours later, usually about 48. So I'm going to put down in here when I read it, 6/11. And maybe I didn't get up quite that early that morning. Let's say I took it at 9 a.m. You want to put it down and let us know when it's been taken, when it's been read. Okay, so the reading, as you saw previously, as you saw before we opened this form, the reading is done by holding the dip slide up against a chart that the manufacturer provides and taking your best guess for what the level represents. Okay, so now we might wind up with a result, and these results are in orders of magnitude: 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. If you get 10,000 or less, you're in pretty good shape in terms of the bacterial levels in cooling towers. Remember, this is not drinking water that we're dealing with. So if you have 10,000 or less, if you have less than 10,000, that it appears to be less than 10,000, that would probably usually be pretty routine. You can just write in here less than, that symbol represents less than 10,000. Right? So you can write it in there like that. That's the same thing as the 4 zeros that you have there. Okay? So you can write it in as 10,000, or you can write it in as 10 to the 4th. Okay? Or you can, and if there's other readings that you get, for instance, if it looks like it's between 10,000 and 100,000, you could write in 10,000 to 100,000. If it's over 100,000, you could write in 100,000 to 1 million. And if it's over a million, you can say it's greater than 1 million. 6 zeros after that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros after that. Right? So you can use any of these notations to write it in. The important thing is that if it's less than 10,000, you're in good shape. If it's between 10,000 and 100,000, it's a pretty simple remediation. You call your water treatment company, let them know, and they arrange for you to either adjust the biocide feed or to add an additional dose of biocide. Okay, that's enough to satisfy the Department of Health. You should record in here that on 6/12 that your water treatment company came in and dosed the system in response to that high bacteria count if it's greater than 10,000. Similarly, 100,000 is a little bit more that you have to do. If you go over a million, that is a bit more of a problem. If your reading is over a million, you basically have to do a more elaborate disinfection of the cooling tower than just an extra dose. Okay, so talk to your water treatment company or consultant about that, and they'll guide you on what you need to do. Now, before you see a million and you get worried, don't panic. Okay? One of the things about this microbiological test is it helps you understand whether you're feeding too much biocide, too little biocide, and calibrating it that a little bit better. There's no strong evidence that a high bacteria level necessarily means a high Legionella level. The Legionella test is a specific bacteria, right, that may or may not be part of this, right? And in many cases, you can have a high bacteria count and not have any Legionella present, or not have high levels of Legionella present, right? So don't let this scare you. You're doing Legionella testing every 90 days or less than every 90 days, right? Less than 90 days, and that's really your gold standard for whether or not you have a Legionella issue. This just means that you have a little bit extra work to do in order to deal with a high bacteria count. Okay, so if there is a bacteriological remediation of some kind, put it into your notes and the date that it took place, 6/12. I wrote it into the notes section there, and the type of remediation it was. It might just be an extra dose. And the Department of Health wants you, once you've had a high bacteria count, anything over 10,000 or 100,000 or a million, they want you to retest the total bacteria 3 to 7 days later. Well, since you're testing weekly anyway, you're almost automatically you're satisfying that requirement. So next week, you would be doing this again, and the week after that, you would be doing this again. Right? So each week you'd be taking a sample and adding to this list of the results of your bacteriological samples. So that's pretty much what you need to do in order to maintain your records for routine testing and inspection of your cooling tower. If you have questions about this video or some of these procedures, ask your water treatment consultant that prepared your plan, ask your water treatment contractor, or you can send me an email at adevito, ADEVITO, at chemicalspecifics.com. And my name's Tony DeVito, and good luck taking care of your cooling tower and your HVAC equipment, and let's hope for a nice cool summer. Bye.